We welcome you on Matulang Broadcasting Corporation. My name is Tulani Nkala. We know we have very serious issues in our community, that is Mtwagazi. Recently, we saw what happened in Parliament in terms of how our languages are being treated, the stance of the members of Parliament towards what they call minority languages. So that is what we are going to be talking about. But also we know that we have what we call the Gukurahundi outreach, which is being spearheaded by the chiefs. So we are going to tackle those two very important subjects. But before that, let me welcome our guest. We have Mr. Sosha Mpunzi. He is not a stranger here. And we also have Mr. Hloniphani Ncube. Gentlemen, I welcome you on Matulang Broadcasting Corporation.
We thank you very much for welcoming us, and greetings to your viewers as well as subscribers.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much. Yes. Let me come to you, Mr. Ncube. If you don't mind, if you could kindly introduce yourself, that will be appreciated.
Yes, thank you very much. My name has already been indicated. I am Hloniphani Ncube. I'm the president of Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance. I have also worked with MRP. I was once the Secretary General and the founding, in fact, Secretary General of Mtwagazi Republic Party for about 4 years. And then now I'm currently in Mtwagazi Democratic Alliance, a political outfit that I'm currently leading, which seeks to restore Mtwagazi. I think briefly in politics, that is who I am.
Okay, no, thanks very, very, very much.
Yes.
Mr. Socha, if you want, you can also introduce yourself, but I think people know you.
Hi, I suppose, but I'm Comrade Sosha Mpunzi. I would like to be known as the thorn that's sticking out into the flesh of the oppressor, and equally the beneficiaries of our oppression. That's all I can say.
Okay. No, thanks very much. This question is for both of you, gentlemen. We saw what happened in Parliament, whereby the MP, Daniel Mulokile, protested vehemently particularly about when Shona MPs speak, there is no interpretation. But when Ndebele MPs speak, interpretation is being sought every time. So what is your reaction? What is your observation and analysis on that? Let me start with you, Mr. Mpunzi.
The observation is, Babunkala, what you are seeing is literally a snake that is being exposed, raising its head and exposing its fangs and spitting tribal venom into our eyes. That's what we're seeing. Because let alone if we're to go bit by bit, the unfolding, the resistance, the ridicule, the malice that is written on the faces of those Shona MPs, they really never thought that we will ever rise up, or this will never be an issue. Our oppression to them, the beneficiaries of our oppression, is that we have been beaten down so much that they don't need to expand any effort in trying to put us in our place. That's why the malice, that's why the ridicule. And to them, it just shows that they have made peace, that people from Twagazi are children of a lesser God, and that our language, our culture has to be subservient to them, that we exist only as far as they allow us to. We can only express ourselves as only as much they can tolerate or accept. Otherwise, we are in their palm. They can squeeze us and do whatever they've been doing. That is those I would say acute symptoms of a people that are used to being beneficiaries of oppressing another. Those are manifestations of wickedness, manifestations of tribal apartheid, which is not different from racial apartheid. So I think now that it's apparent, the so-called uprising, which I call a civil war, has already been rekindled or kindled in Parliament, for lack of a better word. It means that any other parliamentarian who claims to represent abantu bakomthwakazi, is time they join forces and highlight what some of us have been talking about, that we are a people that are being targeted, a people that are being systematically marginalized, systematically displaced. We are a people. If so, it was possible by a tribal magic wand of witchcraft. These people would have actually wished us away and made us disappear into nothing, because we are unwanted. We are viewed as a people that are illegitimate in their land. Our only crime is we allowed our plight against the colonizer to be combined with our perpetual inherent enemy. I believe that generally the so-called Shona people have never loved us. And I agree to some extent, some people that say Joshua Nkomo should have never sought to be a nationalist at the expense of his own people, because the tribal card was the one that was being played. He chose to be a unifier and paid with the blood of his people, with the dignity of his people, with the self-determination of his people, who are still paying for the grandstanding or the moral high ground that Joshua Nkomo chose. But now that the monsters of tribalism are consuming our flesh, we've got no choice but to fight back. Thank you, sir.
No, sorry. Thanks very much, Mr. Mpunzi. Same question to you, Baba Ncube.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity. I think responding to this matter, an embarrassing matter, by the way, happening in this day and age, I think the people of Mthwakazi should not be experiencing what the Parliament of Zimbabwe, in fact, has been doing. It's not a new thing. And I think all this that we are witnessing is embedded on what exactly is Zimbabwe. I usually refer to Zimbabwe as a colonial arrangement that was actually forced upon the people of Mthwakazi. We did not agree to be called Zimbabweans. It is something that is foreign to us, something that was imposed to the people of Matabeleland. And if you look at ZANU-PF as a political organization, it is ruled or governed through a document or an instrument called the 1979 Grand Plan. Now, I wish all our people could actually understand what the 1979 Grand Plan entails. You talk of Gukurahundi genocide. If I'm allowed to actually go back to how Zimbabwe began, you talk of Gukurahundi genocide. You talk of everything that is currently happening in Zimbabwe today, tribalism being institutionalized. If you want to understand where that is coming from, that is coming from the 1979 Grand Plan, which is the rule book of ZANU-PF, in fact, which is the hidden constitution of ZANU-PF. So ZANU-PF as a political party exists to undermine the people of Matabeleland. In fact, they hate the people of Matabeleland. If the document that I'm talking about, the 1979 Grand Plan, I think we are witnessing the fruits of the implementation of the 1979 Grand Plan. As a result, as I have started laying actually my background, as a result of actually forced colonial arrangement called Zimbabwe. If you look us as the people of Mtwagas, when the colonizers came to us, we did not invite them, invaded us. Now, come to the negotiations at Lancaster House, we did not actually influence that kind of political arrangement. It was imposed on us. Now being meshed also with Zimbabwe, Mashonaland. I always get confused. Actually, I don't define myself as a Zimbabwean. I define myself by conscience as a son of Mtwagas, because there was Mtwagas. The people of Mashonaland cannot accept, in fact, this reality that there was Mtwagas, which was a sovereign state, an independent kingdom, which was actually invaded by colonialists. We fought, we tried to defend our state. I always say they did not even defeat us because they never captured our king. But fate happens, we find ourselves in this scenario. So what we witnessed in Parliament, it is the fruits of the 1979 Grand Plan. Zimbabwe institutionalized tribalism. If you look at the 1979 Grand Plan, it resulted into, you talk of the Unity Accord. These are the products of the 1979 Grand Plan, where Dr. Joshua Mkabu was forced to surrender, in essence, Matabeleland. If you look, it's 11-point document called the Unity Accord. It's actually an embarrassing document, in my view. That was people say it was forced upon the late Joshua Mkabu. May his soul rest in peace. But if you look at the components of that document, then you will understand the character and the attitude of ZANU-PF. That is where everything begins. Also, looking also on the attitude of the 1979 Grand Plan, there is a lot that they have done in terms of even constituency demarcations. Since 1980, they have been working to create a perception that us as the people of Mtwagas, we are the second, if not the third class citizens of Zimbabwe. Let me maybe expand when I talk of tribal institutionalization. What do I mean when I say that? For example, what we are witnessing in the Parliament of Zimbabwe, it is not only happening in the Parliament of Zimbabwe. Look at even the police, look at even the CIO, look at even the military. I have privilege to have actually associated with people who have held senior position at ZRP. Do you know that when they are training even police officers, from Matebeleland. The children of Matebeleland are forced to speak Shona. Otherwise, they tell you straight when they are training you, if you cannot speak Shona, then that is your own business. So they are compelled at the end of the day to speak Shona. If you are training to be a police officer, if you are training also to be a nurse, they have actually institutionalized Shonalization. So what you are witnessing in Parliament, it is something that has been actually nurtured since 1980, because the people of Matebeleland have to understand that this government that is currently in charge of us does not love us. I find it difficult, and I'm always at pain to explain and underscore this point, that as the people of Matebeleland, ZANU-PF has never loved us since 1980. Just look, the moment they were given power by our former colonizers, most probably because of the historical background of how we also gave the hardest time to our former British colonizers. And we know that the people of Mashonaland did not win the election. I mean, ZANU-PF did not win the election. They were given power. And as they were given power, they had developed an evil document called the 1979 Grand Plan, where part of the programs that were going to be initiated was Gukurahundi genocide, and there was institutionalization of institutionalization of tribalism across all the institutions, undermining any person from Matebeleland, disrespecting any language from Matebeleland, trying to eliminate anything that is that actually has the blood or of Matebeleland, or anything that smells Matebeleland. So what I saw in Parliament, as someone who has been a Mtwaga's activist in all my political life, it is not something new. It is not something unique. We know that they don't love us, and now they are doing it publicly. And I always thank God for these things to happen, so that, because sometimes when we speak without references of what is happening at the highest level, for example, in a parliament, an institution that is supposed to concoct the laws of the land, if tribalism can be at that extent, at that embarrassing, the arrogance that we saw from the Shona MPs, undermining, belittling, ironically, the very same minister, Monica Mtswangwa, who was actually asked a question in Ndebele, wanted that question to be interpreted. But when she was giving an answer, to see the arrogance, she answered in Shona language, and there was no problem in so doing. So this is the attitude of these people. And we know where it is coming from. Thank you very much. I don't want to take a lot of time.
Yeah, that was a very detailed and a long answer. Before you go, let me ask you this, because you emphasized on the 1979 Shona Grand Plan.
Yes.
There is an attitude amongst people that this Shona Grand Plan is a concoction of politicians from Matebeleland. What is your take on that?
I think that is a very, very dangerous ignorance. And if you have read the 1979 Grand Plan, and you trace what has been happening since 1980, and you know what is entailed on that document, you will see that what is written there is exactly what is being implemented today in Matebeleland. Look at the ministers in Zimbabwe and count how many are coming from Matebeleland. Look at even the parliamentarians. and count how many are coming from, even in Matabeleland today, as we are speaking, they are occupying our constituencies. A number of our constituencies are contested by Shona people. And this is the implementation of the 1979 Grand Plan. Go to our schools. Who is teaching our children? Who is taking the jobs, the local jobs that are meant for the local people of Matabeleland, forcing our children in Matabeleland to run away from Matabeleland because there are no economic opportunities, which is exactly what is entailed on the 1979 Grand Plan. Look at the industries. For example, Bulawayo, strategically and by positioning, God's positioning, it is actually an industrial hub. But because of what is contained on the 1979 Grand Plan, from 1980, they started transferring the industries from Bulawayo to be headquartered in Mashonaland. Everything that is written on the 1979 Grand Plan, if you are not blind, you can see that it is being implemented. As I have said, I have privilege I know people, in fact, who have worked as police officers. I know a police officer who lost his job because, one, he was a Debele, two, because he was suspected that he is part of the opposition during the formation of the MTC. And that man was beaten to the point of it's God's grace and mercy that he is still alive today. I'm talking of someone who rose to the ranks up to the inspector of the Zimbabwe Republic Police. He was told, and he was chronicling to me, that even as we were training, there were racial and tribal slurs that were spoken against us. So I don't know what kind of a person. Anyway, it's dangerous ignorance that I think people who are thinking in that manner have to do what we call self-introspection. Really smell coffee. Look at what is currently happening. Look at the people of Matabeleland. If you are looking for employment today in Matabeleland, there is no employment for a child of Matabeleland except in South Africa. Our children Hebrew. They are full in Hebrew in South Africa. That is where they can get at least an employment. I went as far as university in Zimbabwe. I couldn't find a job, the first time I learned to open a bank account, I did it in a foreign land. Just imagine. Yeah. All because of institutionalized tribalism emanating from this document. It wasn't created by the politicians. Look at what ZANU-PF is doing and read that document. You will see that what is being implemented today and what we are talking about with Parliament, and also the other issue that we are going to talk about, where now the perpetrators, the people who killed, brutally butchered the people of Matabeleland, are now coming back. Coming back, telling us that they want to solve the killings that they committed. How embarrassing is that?
All right, Mr. Ncube. Yes. We will quickly go to that topic, but let me come to Ubabu Mpunzi. Baba Mpunzi, the Parliament is an institution responsible for crafting the country's laws with the attitude that we have witnessed. How much trust do we place on an institution with such an attitude towards other languages or minority languages, which Ndebele is regarded as such?
As succinctly, as clear, and as precise as I can be. And I'll talk like I'm talking to a toddler. It means there is no unitary state. Zimbabwe is not a unitary state. It means that country is a Shona super state or a Shona super state wannabe that seeks to create an ethno-nationalistic state where the middle class, where the upper class are exclusively people that belong to a specific tribe that was socially engineered by the Rhodesians in 1929. That is Shona, which is actually a multiplicity of ethnicities itself. So it means that this Shona superstate or Shonaism says that if you are nothing else but Shona, there is no room for you. In order for you to enjoy and not be mistreated and be regarded as belonging to this so-called country, you should actually undress your skin of being who you are culturally in order to be accepted as a citizen. The mantra, even though unsaid, from ZANU-PF and those that have crafted and benefited from this Gukurahundism, which I actually call them Gukurahundi zealots, because the crime here is those that are benefiting from this lack of unitarism, this tribal apartheid, are people that come from a society who stand to benefit from their wickedness. Some people do not go outright to commit evil or have evil intention, but the human inclination of putting one first sometimes ignores the plight of the other person who is at the receiving end of an act that might be morally questionable, but nonetheless benefiting of the people who's actually doing the wickedness. So what I'm trying to say is those members of parliament, some of them might be children and grandchildren of Fifth Brigade, this so-called tribal militia party. But not all of them. Some of them, they enjoy that they belong to this group called Shona people. And then there is no victimization that is directed at them. So they want to associate themselves with what is not victimized, what is not targeted. So as such, Shonaism, or the idea of being Shona, is now associated with being upper class, with being prestigious, elite, educated, and so forth and so on. We have heard all the hula baloos. But nonetheless, this says this is not a unitary state. That's why I agree at some point when other people speak about succession. But what is pragmatic to me is perhaps it's time we approach things on a regional level. It's time that our politicians, as they have responded, those MPs, against the onslaught of Gukurahundi zealots, those MPs who are for Gukurahundi because they benefit from it, the status quo, which elevates them to be first-class citizens, they'll protect it with their very being, because they do not want to be associated with anything that they look down upon or anything that is deemed to be inferior. by this social engineering from ZANU-PF. And I personally do not blame ZANU-PF for the lack of a unitary state. From inception, this country has always been a tribal state. When Joshua Nkomo was climbing up the moral ground to be a unifier and a statesman, the people in ZANU-PF, which unfortunately grouped themselves along tribal lines, which were defined by the colonizer, by the way, namely the Kore, the Zezuru, the Manyika, and so forth. We all know that, but some of those ethnicities that like to gather themselves and say they're the majority for political expediency in order to actually fret their chest and climb on a high horse that they are the majority. They do not really fully benefit from this majorityness, because we know that the Zurus and the Kores are the ones that have enslaved essentially every other ethnicities and turned them to be so-called Shona. So those ones, they are only singing because they are smelling the soup, but nonetheless, they have never eaten the soup. Because the soup smells Shona, and the Manyikas are called Shona. They might taste perhaps some of it because of the smell. Nonetheless, the spoils of tribal apartheid, the majority of Shona people, they have never fully embraced or enjoyed. They are only being given kudos that they are ruling everyone else that is non-Shona, while they are suffering and wallowing in poverty in a shithole country that has been created by tribalism and inherent wicked corruption, that he has got a language. The language of corruption is Shona. When you come across a police officer on the road, you do not speak Shona, you end up having to pay more, even if when you didn't do anything. We know that Shona is the language of the oppressor. And we cannot be expected as victims of Gukurahundi, where our people were forced to dance on top of the graves of their families that were just butchered, wombs slashed wide open by bayonets, people burnt alive inside huts, brother and sister and mother and daughter forced to commit incest, inherent wickedness from the deepest pits of hell. That's why sometimes I do adhere to this notion that anyone who's from Southern Africa, we know we all came from somewhere. But Ubuntu, some tribal groupings do not have that. Because why? They've got exotic elements within them that do not belong. They are imposing and they've got tendencies of domineering that are actually disharmonious to society. And we are forced to tolerate that. But what I'm saying is to those MPs and the upcoming ZANU-PF and generally Shona-speaking people, we have got no issues with you. Your system that you created, or your forefathers created, or your father, or your Robert Mugabe, your hero, that you still ululate and call a martyr a hero, that you know well. He has mass murdered over 80,000 people, projected that on average 2,500 people were being mass murdered. You stretch that to 1987, you come up almost 90,000 people. the fact that a people could be so morally corrupt and oblivious to celebrate a Robert Mugabe and call an international airport and streets and everything that they celebrate and hold dearly to the detriment and the deliberate ignorance that this is a man that engineered the mass murder of our people for the love of power, for the love of money, and so forth.
Yeah, no, thanks very much for that long response as well. In the interest of time, I know we can't really solve anything as far as this parliament issue is concerned. I had invited the Nkulumane MP, Desire Moyo, but unfortunately he did not come. I don't know why, because he had agreed that he was going to come. I think let us move on to our next topic, which is, I don't know whether they are the forthcoming Gukurahundi community outreach. Baba Ncube,
yes.
What is your assessment of this? Do you think the process which they have assumed is a process which will lead to the resolution of this genocide?
Absolutely, there is absolutely nothing of that sort. Remember, if you have committed a crime of this nature, in attempting to solve this crime, the people of Matabeleland, what they want in simple terms is justice. And there is no way justice comes in such a manner whereby an individual who was responsible in terms of committing these atrocities. I'm referring to Emmerson Mnangagwa, because at the height of Gukurahundi genocide, he was the Minister of State Security, and definitely he knows what transpired. And him, firstly, let's look at this program, this madness program that they are trying to implement. Number one, they are not allowing journalists to participate in these processes. Number two, this program is being implemented obviously by chiefs, and I don't know, are the chiefs qualified to handle a matter of this significance on their own? That is also the other question that comes into the fore. And let's look at this also. They are saying the other state department that would be participating in this are the members of the Central Intelligence Organization. People who participated in terms of the disappearance of the people of Matabeleland. Now, the victims have to actually face the criminals who participated in executing Gukurahundi genocide to testify with the hope that a long-lasting solution would be found. This on its own is a fallacy, is an embarrassment. It shows how Emmerson Mnangagwa undermine, overlook the people of Matabeleland, as well as also our capabilities as a society. It's an embarrassment to the core. It would not address Gukurahundi genocide. If there is anything, it opens the wounds. Just imagine I kill your father, and then I come. I want now to act as a judiciary officer to solve the matter. And in my view, people should look at a broader picture of this. What is Mnangagwa attempting to do? I think I am of the firm opinion that what Mnangagwa is attempting to do is to legalize speaking freely about Gukurahundi genocide. Watch the space. they will actually conduct these pseudo hearings and make obviously fake recommendations that will emanate from fake people, unknown people. I don't foresee our people, the real victims, participating in these processes because they do not warrant. I mean, there won't be justice at the end of the day. So, in simple terms, just to shorten my response, I think we are being disrespected as the people of Matabeleland. We are being undermined. This goes to underscore the character of the president we are dealing with. Some have said that is suffering from dementia. Most probably, these are the symptoms of someone suffering from dementia, because you cannot act in such a manner, especially if we have. I mean, we are. There is hypocrisy in this. Mnangagwa has been asked, even by international journalists, to just do a simple thing: apologize. At international stage, numerous times, he has refused to apologize. Then now he's coming back saying he is addressing Gukurahundi genocide. Come on, let's get a life. We are being sold a false dream, just like 2030. Let me stop there in the interest of time.
No, thanks very much. Baba Mpunzi, what's your view of this process?
Babunkala, in terms of issue is, we are not children of a lesser God. And we will never, and we will never again be victims of the same rapist twice under the auspices of justice. We will never allow that. What ZANU-PF is doing, essentially, they are fueling a revolt. They are actually renewing the pain and the self-determination of our people. To those that perhaps were thinking that there is true repentance from the likes of Mnangagwa and all the Gukurahundi zealots and mass murderers. This goes to show that these people are determined to cling on to their evil morality, to think that they can be judge and jury over crimes that they themselves committed, that they can elect izinduna who themselves are victims of the very same crimes in closed doors. What they are trying to do is silence our people, rekindle the fear. We are being pushed to the corner. We are being made to make peace with the fact that we are a defeated people. And there is nothing that we can do about it. We were mass murdered. We have been displaced. We've been economically starved. Now, what they are doing, if there was a sea or Zimbabwe was not a landlocked country, we would be chased or being chased to the sea. But nonetheless, my message to the future is, we will never surrender our land. We will never submit to a people who are hell-bent on annihilating us as a people, as a nation. And we will never, I can say never, I say never, be forced to accept that the morality of a perpetrator is logical, is even acceptable to us, the victims. The justice that we want is the justice in our terms. We do not want the perpetrator to tell us how we should accept their plea. We see no sincerity in their actions. We see politicians and Gukurahundi zealots being supported by their tribesmen and being urged on to act as if they are unanswerable to no one. The premise is we are inferior. We are not inferior. If it means we go regional, let it be. If it means that we succeed and be our own, let it be. This, what they are doing, is essentially going to fuel the secessionists amongst us. Because in our blood, we will never allow a mass murderer come and say, forgive me because you've got no choice. But I'm not admitting to the wrong that I did to you because I'm more powerful than you. I control you and I can do anything to you. This is the example of someone coming to slap you on the face and tell you that I have slapped you before, I'm slapping you again. You better forgive me, because if you do not forgive me, I'm going to keep on slapping you again. It's a matter of time before our people revolt. And when our people revolt, the fear is we do not want a SADC that is destabilized. And to these politicians and the supporters, the Gukurahundi zealots, they must understand that this is not the 1980s. There will never be any other Gukurahundi 2.2 without repercussions. There will never be any victory to say we've conquered a people and we are downtrodden on them. The only victory is Pyrrhic victory, a victory where there are no winners. If the Gukurahundist and Shona zealots, Shona supremacists think that they can get away with what they are doing, is they will not even be able to enjoy the efforts of their wickedness, because the resistance from our people would be so great that there will be no winners. To those that have got...
Yes. Can I ask you a specific question, and I'm looking for specific answers from you?
Yes, you can say.
We have dismissed this process that Mnangagwa is using through the chiefs. What will be your proposal? What is the process that you think will bring satisfaction to the people of Matabeleland and the true resolution?
The true resolution for me is political independence. I'm caught up between complete succession and or regionalism, federalism, whatever you call it. But our people have been hurt so much that they can no longer coexist with their perpetual abuser. The only thing that perhaps that can bring peace is we be given our self-determination. The only thing perhaps that can bring peace is a sincere apology that is heartfelt, even from a single person, maybe from Mnangagwa himself. Maybe then we can become a North Korea and a South Korea. But anything other than that is just a matter of time, because my children have got the same bitterness fueled by the hate, the agony of their grandparents being buried alive, their uncles being bayoneted and butchered from homes. So the only solution is, let us be just like Pharaoh when he was resisting the children of Israel to be free, is let us go. You can see the river Nile is turned red. We see the curse of a collapsed economy, and there's nothing working with this country. Everything is in shambles. Perhaps that is a curse or a sign that you are abusing a particular people. You were hoping to dine with the devil and enjoy the fruits of righteousness. Nonetheless, God has got nothing to do with darkness of tribal apartheid. So they should just let us be. If we say we want to be a regional bloc, they should allow us. Because if they try to pressure us and try to conquer us, the only thing they are going to get is resistance. And when there's resistance that is fueled by decades, over 4 decades of anger, oppression, tribal apartheid, economic starvation, displacement, I'm telling you, there is no amount of government force that will be able to control that. They must let us go.
Okay.
That's the only solution.
All right. No, thanks very much. Thanks very much for that. Baba Ncube, maybe similar question, because I'm trying to really to drill down to some specifics here. If you were given an opportunity to come up with a process of addressing or redressing this Gukurahundi genocide issue, what will be the steps from 1, 2, 3 specific things that really you feel will be satisfactory?
Okay, so in simple terms, in my view, this is bigger than me, but I will try to bring how I think this matter should be solved. Now, we have got the victims of Gukurahundi genocide. That is number one. And I take Gukurahundi genocide as an attack to the nation of Matebeleland, because I perceive Mtwagazi as a nation rather than maybe a province or whatever they call a regional bloc of Zimbabwe. I see Mtwagazi as a standalone nation. So we were attacked as a nation. Normally, I will give an example. If you attack the citizens of the United States of America and they incur casualties, it is upon that nation to make it a point that it decides what to do, especially to the aggressor. In this case, there is absolutely nothing that can be done by the government of Zimbabwe or any other politician that may inherit political leadership from ZANU-PF. What is essentially needed at the moment, if the simple thing, we experienced Gukurahundi because someone wanted to eliminate us. So you cannot then in the future coexist with someone who had such kind of an attitude. It's just like ukuba lo nkosikazi ofuna ukukubulala, you discover that she was attempting to kill you, or she made attempts, but somehow you survived. At the end of the day, you can't reconcile with such kind of an individual. The best settlement is to separate with that person. So I support the point that has been underscored by Socha. Number one, we need Mtwagazi restoration. And we need to separate from Zimbabwe. And then, in my view, if things are going to how I perceive this, we don't want any in fact, there is no compensation that can equate, especially even a single soul of a person who was lost during the Gukurahundi genocide. So the best compensation they can give us at the moment is to leave us alone, restore the 1893 boundaries of Mtwagazi, allow the people of Matebeleland to govern themselves, and then we will come up with a solution after consulting the victims. Definitely, we cannot return our loved ones. There is no amount that can actually bring them back. But through what now we will be fighting for is just national healing. We need to heal as the people of Matabeleland. The victims need to heal, not only the victims, also the nation as a whole, because Gukurahundi left a very, very huge scar. That is why you see whenever something is said about this matter, it evokes serious emotions in Matabeleland. So we, as a nation, this is our own issue. The best thing that the Zimbabwean government can do, especially individuals like Nangako, is to come to us and explain why did they implement that program. What is it that we did to them to warrant such mass murder of the people of Matabeleland? Otherwise, we don't expect any solution from them. But definitely in consultation with our people as the people of Matabeleland, in a free Matabeleland, definitely we will come with a solution to heal ourselves and most probably a future generation. Remember, I was born in 1989. I never experienced the Gukurahundi, but I feel the pain because the story was narrated to me. I lost relatives through Gukurahundi genocide, and it is as good as I was there. So this thing is generational. They may try to actually ignore it today, or maybe ignore Hlonpan, or try even to eliminate Hlonpan because he's speaking about it. But I can tell you, my children or my grandchildren will still have the same feeling regarding this matter. So we need to heal, and where does healing begins as the people of Matabeleland? I think I have made an opinion long time ago that we should be free the people of Matabeleland. At Zimbabwe and Matabeleland is like water and oil. I think the more we try to force ourselves there, it has never worked. I think that is the solution. I hope it's heard as complicated as it is.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
I know we could talk until tomorrow,
Yes.
but in the interest of time, I will ask both of you gentlemen to give us your closing remarks. We will keep on inviting you so that you can come and we talk, particularly now that I know you are the president of Mtoga's Democratic Alliance. I would love to talk to you just about MDA. For now, can I ask you to give us your closing remarks, Baba Ncube?
Okay, my closing remarks would be questions to our people, abantu bakomthwakazi. For how long should we continue to witness these embarrassments, whereby we are denigrated, we are undermined, we are disrespected? When will we tolerate and allow this to happen, hoping that there will be a better future tomorrow? Thank you very much.
All right, thanks very much. Baba Mpunzi, same to you.
Yeah, my parting shot would be our people must know that we've got no choice but to come together as all political parties and form a political home for our people. Those members of parliament that were fighting futile inside a parliament that is full of Gukurahundi zealots, tribal bigots, superstars of the Shona superstate, I would say. And they should get support and know that they do not have to embrace the oppressor. They do not have to take away their skin of being someone from Twagazi in order to get supper or be accepted by the political system. We are coming together, all political parties. We want to form a political hegemony that will allow all our people to know that they can fight and their best will always be with them, so that when they actually raise issues that might make other people uncomfortable about our plight and the tribal apartheid that we've been going through for the last 40 years, that they know that a political home will always be ready to accommodate them. And to the Shona people, we love you. We accept that we are different, but it's unfortunate that the inception of this so-called Zimbabwe was upon a bedrock of tribalism, where the leaders, mostly from your community, chose to take the evil path of tribal apartheid. As such, we can never and will never be proud of a country whose roots are the blood and the agony, the pain of our people being buried alive and burned inside houses and so forth. We love you. We accept you. Some of you are our cousins and our co-workers. But nonetheless, this is systematic. It's not personal. Let us go. Even during colonialism, there were colored people who were offsprings of the settlers and the colonialists. That did not stop the effort of fighting colonialism. To those that feel like because their father is a Shona, their mother is a what? Don't be torn in between. You belong whichever way. But please, may you let morality, the advantage of your neutrality, and common sense reign, that we do not have to continue being victims of tribal apartheid just because your mother and father across tribal lines decided to form you, which is a good thing, but it's a good thing that is in the context of wickedness, where another tribe seeks to subjugate and push the other tribe to the sea, like the Israelis are trying to do to the Palestinians. Ngiyabonga.
Okay. Thanks very much, gentlemen. This was a very interesting discussion. I hope in the very near future, we will have another discussion of this kind. Otherwise, thanks very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.